General Santos City, 2006. Isang bagong promotora ang ipinanganak. Hindi basta promotora. Ito ay pangarap na nagiging realidad. MP Promotions, founded by Manny Pacquiao himself, ay hindi lang negosyo. Ito ay misyon. Misyon na baguhin ang landscape ng Filipino boxing. Misyon na bigyan ng opportunity ang mga batang Pinoy boxers na walang connections, walang resources, walang platforms. Pero ngayon, 2025, may shocking development na nangyayari. Ang MP Promotions ay nag-i-expand internationally. Beverly Hills, California, ang dating pure Filipino operation ay naging global powerhouse. Ang unang non-Filipino world champion under MP Promotions, si Isaac Cruz, WBA super lightweight champion, historic, groundbreaking, game-changing. Pero may darker side din ang expansion na ito. May challenges na hindi nakikita ng public, may tension sa loob ng organization, may questions tungkol sa direction, sa priorities, sa identity. Kasi ang tanong, kapag nag-globalize ka na, nawawala ba ang Filipino soul? Kapag nag-focus ka sa international market, nakakalimutan mo ba ang local talents? Kapag kumikita ka na ng millions sa US events, importante pa ba ang small-time fight sa Pilipinas? Yan ang crucial questions na kailangan nating sagutin. Yan ang real story behind MP Promotions na hindi sinasabi ng press releases. Yan ang truth na kailangan ninyong malaman bago mag-judge kung success ba o failure ang expansion na ito. Bago tayo mag-dive deep sa controversial na aspects ng MP Promotions, gusto ko munang malaman saan ka nanonood ngayon. Comment mo kung Manila, Cebu, Davao, Jensan, Taguig o kahit overseas ka. Kasi ang story na ito ay directly affecting Filipino boxers sa lahat ng regions. From Mindanao gyms to Manila training camps, lahat sila ay potentially affected ng decisions ng MP Promotions. Ang expansion na ito ay hindi isolated corporate decision. Ito ay strategic move na may ripple effects sa entire Philippine boxing ecosystem. May mga batang boxers sa provinces na nagdi-dream na someday si MP Promotions ang magpi-promote sa kanila. May mga trainers sa local gyms na nag-e-expect na ang MP ay mag-scout sa areas nila. May mga boxing fans na nag-aantay ng next Filipino champion na produced by this promotion. Kaya ang stakes ay hindi purely business. May emotional, cultural at national dimensions din. At yan ang context na kailangan nating i-establish before we go deeper. Now let's establish the foundation. Noong July 2, 2006, ang first major event ng MP Promotions ay ginanap sa Araneta Coliseum, Quezon City. Si Manny Pacquiao mismo ang main event, defending his WBC international title against Oscar Larios. Symbolic yan. Kasi hindi lang boxing match yan. Yan ay declaration. Declaration na ang MP Promotions ay serious, na may capability, na may vision. Ang venue mismo ay significant kasi ang Araneta Coliseum ay historic landmark ng Philippine boxing, kung saan maraming legendary fights ang naganap through decades. Fast forward to 2025, almost 2 decades later, ang MP Promotions ay naging one of the most influential boxing promotions sa Pilipinas. Lalo na after the closure ng Ayala Boxing, ang dating powerhouse sa Visayas na nag-produce ng maraming champions, including Donnie Nietes, Milan Melindo, at iba pa. Ang vacuum na naiwan ng ALE ay partially filled ng MP Promotions, giving them even more power, more influence, more responsibility. Ang closure ng ALE ay nangyari around 2020, 2021, at yan ay significant event sa Philippine boxing landscape. Suddenly, hundreds of boxers na dati ay under ALA system ay nag-become free agents. May opportunities para sa MP Promotions na mag-absorb ng some of these talents, mag-consolidate ng influence, mag-expand ng roster, at to some extent, nangyari yan. Pero hindi lahat ng former ALA fighters ay napunta sa MP. May pumunta sa other promotions. May nag-retire. May nag-struggle mag-find ng new homes. Ang point is, ang consolidation ng power sa MP Promotions ay hindi purely dahil sa success nila. Partly dahil sa failure or exit ng competitors. Yan ay important context kasi it affects how we evaluate their dominance. Pero with great power comes great responsibility at yan ang testing ground ngayon ng MP Promotions. Kasi ang decisions nila ay affecting hundreds of Filipino boxers, thousands of fans, at ang entire landscape ng boxing sa bansa. Ang expectations ay mataas, ang scrutiny ay intense, ang margin for error ay slim. Tingnan natin ang roster ng champions na produced ng MP Promotions through the years. Jerwin Ancallas, IBF Super Flyweight World Champion, multiple title defenses from 2016 onwards, legitimate champion na nagrepresent ng Philippines sa international stage. Ang career trajectory ni Ancallas under MP ay generally positive. Consistent fights, quality opponents, fair compensation reportedly. Pero recently may struggles din. Losses to Fernando Martinez in 2022 at 2023 na nag-cost sa kanya ng title. Ang question now is, paano ang career management niya moving forward? May plans ba for comeback? May support ba from MP for rebuilding? Or considered na ba siyang past his prime at shifted na ang focus sa younger fighters? Yan ang critical juncture sa boxer's career na showing kung gaano ka-committed ang promoter sa long-term welfare ng fighters nila, hindi lang sa peak years nila. Mark Magsayo, WBC Featherweight World Champion noong 2022. Big win against Gary Russell Jr. Major upset. Put him on international map. Pero ang title reign ay short-lived. Lost to Ray Vargas later that year. Since then, nag-struggle mag-regain championship form. Ang trajectory niya ay concerning for some observers. May questions about matchmaking strategy. May concerns about development approach. May suggestions na possible na rushed siya to title shot before fully ready, resulting in unsustainable success. Yan ay armchair analysis, syempre, kasi hindi tayo insider sa training camp or management discussions. Pero based sa observable patterns, may legitimate questions about long-term career planning. Pedro Taduran, IBF Minimum Weight World Champion, won title in 2020. Successfully defended. Ang career niya ay steady pero hindi spectacular in terms of media attention. Yan ang reality ng minimum weight division, unfortunately. Kahit world champion ka, ang mainstream attention ay limited kasi ang casual fans ay hindi usually interested sa smallest weight classes. Yan ay systemic issue sa boxing industry, not specific sa MP Promotions. Pero it affects earning potential, endorsement opportunities, post-boxing career options. Rene Mark Cuarto, another IBF champion sa minimum weight division. Similar story kay Taduran, legitimate champion pero limited mainstream recognition. Ang pattern na emerging. MP Promotions ay successful sa pag-produce ng world champions sa lighter divisions, pero challenge sa pag-leverage ng those championships into mainstream stardom or significant commercial success. Yan ay partly dahil sa inherent limitations ng weight classes, pero partly din possibly dahil sa marketing strategies or lack thereof. Marlon Tapales, super bantamweight. Ang career niya ay interesting case study. Naging unified champion through victories against Murodjon Akhmadaliev in 2023 holding WBA and IBF titles. Major achievement. But then lost in unification bout against Naoya Inoue later that year. Ang Inoue fight ay high profile, high stakes, high risk. Some observers questioned if it was right timing. Others argued it was opportunity na hindi pwedeng palampasin. Ang results ay devastating loss via knockout, pero ang financial compensation ay reportedly significant. So trade-off, career setback versus financial gain. Yan ang difficult decisions na kailangan i-navigate ng boxers at promoters. Ang pattern na nakikita natin sa roster na ito, MP Promotions ay proven capable ng bringing fighters to world championship level, especially sa lighter divisions. Yan ay clear strength. Yan ay validated by multiple title wins across different weight classes. Pero ang weakness, or at least area for improvement, ay sa long-term career management after achieving championship status. May pattern ng short title reigns, followed by struggles to reclaim or maintain elite status. Yan ay concerning kasi it suggests possible issues sa sustainable development approach. Pero fair din na i-acknowledge na boxing is brutal sport. Maintaining championship level ay extremely difficult regardless of promotional support. Losses ay normal. Setbacks ay expected. Ang question is not whether fighters lose, kundi how promoters support them through those losses, how they rebuild careers, how they manage decline phases. At yan ay harder to evaluate without inside access sa agreements, support structures, career planning discussions. Kaya ang assessment natin ay necessarily limited at tentative. Pero based sa observable patterns, may mixed results. Some fighters ay supported well through career transitions. Others ay seemingly abandoned after losing championship status. Yan ay concerning if true, pero again, we're working with incomplete information. Ang point is not to definitively judge, kundi to raise important questions na worth considering when evaluating promotional operations. Now let's talk about Carl James Martin, signed in 2023. Young Filipino prospect, 26 years old, super bantamweight division. Record of multiple wins with significant knockout percentage. Exactly the type of fighter na dapat i-develop ng MP Promotions according to original mission. Ang signing ni Martin ay celebrated as evidence na ang MP Promotions ay continuing to invest in young Filipino talents despite international expansion. Yan ay positive sign. Yan ay indication na hindi completely nag-shift ang focus away from local development. Pero ang question, quality of support, ang career trajectory since signing, ang progression ng opponents, ang promotional efforts. Based sa available data, si Martin ay relatively active sa fights. Yan ay good sign kasi activity is crucial for development. Pero ang quality ng opposition ay debatable. May wins against journeymen. May matches na seemingly designed for padding record rather than genuine development. Yan ay common practice sa boxing, admittedly. Prospect building ay often involving carefully selected opponents na challenging enough to provide experience, pero not dangerous enough to risk losses. Pero ang balance ay delicate. Too easy opponents ay not providing real growth. Too tough opponents ay risking confidence-damaging defeats. Ang optimal approach ay progressive challenge, gradually increasing difficulty as skills develop. Unclear kung yan ang strategy being implemented with Martin kasi hindi tayo privy sa internal planning. Pero worth monitoring his progression over next few years. Kung by 2026-2027 ay nakakompete na siya against elite-level opposition, then development ay successful. Kung stuck pa rin siya sa prospect level without significant advancement, then may questions sa approach. Now let's address the elephant in the room, Isaac Cruz, Mexican boxer, non-Filipino, pero signed under MP Promotions. Currently holding WBA super lightweight title since 2024. Ang signing ni Cruz ay controversial for obvious reasons. MP Promotions, founded explicitly to promote Filipino boxing talents, ay nag-sign ng non-Filipino. Ang justifications from management, expanding market reach, diversifying roster, establishing credibility sa international scene, creating opportunities for cross-promotional fights. Ang critics' response, betrayal of original mission, taking resources away from deserving Filipino fighters, prioritizing commercial success over cultural responsibility, abandoning identity for profit. Both sides ay may valid points. Ang business logic ng signing Cruz ay sound. A successful non-Filipino under MP banner ay attracting international attention, proving na ang organization ay not just ethnic-based, pero merit-based, opening doors sa markets beyond Filipino diaspora. At si Cruz, legitimate talent, not just token international signing. Proven fighter with skills, marketability, fan base. Kaya from pure promotional perspective, signing makes sense. Pero from cultural perspective, problematic. Kasi ang MP Promotions ay not just business entity. It's symbol. Symbol ng Filipino boxing excellence. Symbol ng opportunities for local talents. Symbol ng cultural pride. When you sign non-Filipino, you dilute that symbolism. You complicate that identity. You risk alienating core supporters who valued MP precisely because of exclusive Filipino focus. Yan ang tension. Yan ang trade-off. Yan ang difficult balance between business pragmatism and cultural authenticity. At walang easy answer. Ang reasonable people ay pwedeng legitimately disagree kung tama o mali ang decision. Ang important ay transparency sa rationale, consistency sa values, accountability sa outcomes. Ang deeper question, does success of Cruz help or hurt Filipino fighters under MP? Ang optimistic view, rising tide lifts all boats. Success of any MP fighter, regardless of nationality, ay raising profile of promotion, attracting better opportunities, generating more resources na pwedeng i-allocate to all fighters. Ang pessimistic view, zero-sum game. Resources devoted to Cruz ay resources not available for Filipino fighters. Attention given to Cruz ay attention diverted from local talents. Opportunities created for Cruz ay opportunities denied to deserving Pinoys. Ang truth ay probably somewhere in between. May positive spillovers, pero may opportunity costs din. Ang net effect ay dependent sa how management handles resource allocation, opportunity distribution, promotional priorities, kung balanced ang approach, kung fair ang treatment, kung transparent ang decision-making, then possibly net positive. Kung biased toward international fighters, kung discriminatory against locals, kung opaque ang processes, then net negative. Ang evidence so far ay mixed. May continued signings ng Filipino prospects like Martin. May continued promotional efforts for Filipino champions. Pero may also observable increase sa resources at attention devoted to Cruz. Whether proportionate or excessive, fair or biased, justified or unjustified, ay depends on perspective and values. Ang objective assessment ay difficult kasi walang clear metrics. Ang subjective reactions ay varying based on priorities. Some fans ay okay with diversification, others ay feeling betrayed. Both reactions ay valid. Both deserve acknowledgement and consideration. Now let's discuss the Beverly Hills expansion more specifically. Ang decision to establish US office ay logical from business standpoint. US market ay largest boxing market globally. Bigger audiences, bigger purses, bigger opportunities. For Filipino fighters to succeed internationally, kailangan may platform sa US. Ang traditional approach, partner with American promoters like Top Rank, who historically worked with Pacquiao. Pero ang limitation, dependent ka sa partner's priorities, schedules, terms, limited control, potential conflicts of interest. By establishing own US presence, MP promotions ay gaining independence, control, flexibility. Theoretically better for fighters kasi direct ang management, walang middlemen taking cuts, streamlined ang decision-making. Pero practically, challenging. US boxing landscape ay crowded. Established promotions ay having decades of relationships with networks, venues, regulators. Bagong players ay struggling to break in unless may significant capital, strong relationships, or unique value proposition. Ang MP promotions ay may some advantages. Pacquiao name recognition, Filipino diaspora as built-in audience, experience promoting championship-level fights. Pero may disadvantages din. Limited track record sa US market, smaller capital compared to giants like Top Rank or Matchroom, less established relationships with American power brokers. Ang key personnel sa US operation, Sean Gibbons, President and Matchmaker. Tony Cohen, Vice President and CFO. Si Gibbons ay veteran, decades of experience, extensive connections, valuable asset, pero also controversial figure sa boxing community. May critics questioning his matchmaking decisions. May accusations ng protecting certain fighters through careful opponent selection. May concerns about transparency sa negotiations. Fair ba ang criticisms? Difficult to definitively say without insider access. Pero perception matters in boxing. Reputation affects ability to negotiate favorable terms, attract quality opponents, maintain trust from fighters and fans. Si Cohen naman, finance guy, ensuring fiscal sustainability. Important role pero less visible publicly. Ang working relationship between Gibbons and Cohen. Ang alignment nila with Pacquiao's vision, ang effectiveness nila sa executing strategy ay critical factors sa success ng US expansion. Based sa early indicators, organized naman ang operations. May structured approach. May clear plans. Pero execution is different from planning. Results will ultimately determine success or failure. Ang November 29, 2025 event sa Pechanga Resort Casino, Temecula, California ay first major test. This is MP Promotions' debut sa US soil as primary promoter, not just co-promoter or partner. Ang stakes ay high, ang pressure ay intense. Ang eyes ng boxing world ay watching. Successful event ay validating the expansion strategy, building credibility, opening doors for future opportunities. Failed event ay raising questions about viability, damaging reputation, potentially derailing expansion plans. Ang measures of success, ticket sales, TV viewership if televised, media coverage, fight quality, fan reaction, financial results, not all publicly available, unfortunately. Pero may observable indicators na pwede nating i-monitor, social media buzz, media reports, fighter performances, post-event analysis. Lahat yan ay contributing to overall assessment. Ang fight card ng November 29 event, as of current information, ay hindi pa fully disclosed. Likely may main event featuring significant fighter, possibly Isaac Cruz kung may scheduled fight siya around that date. Likely may undercard featuring other MP fighters, mix ng Filipino and possibly international. Ang card composition ay strategic decision reflecting priorities. Heavy Filipino presence ay signaling continued commitment to core mission. Diverse international roster ay signaling global ambitions. Ang balance ay revealing true priorities. Pero beyond specific card, ang success ay dependent din sa execution. Production quality, venue atmosphere, broadcast quality kung televised, marketing effectiveness leading up to event, fan experience during event, post-event narrative in media. Lahat yan ay elements ng successful boxing promotion. Hindi lang fighting itself, ang total package. At yan ay where established promotions ay having advantage through experience. Ang MP promotions ay learning curve pa sa US context, different market, different expectations, different competitive dynamics. Kaya ang realistic expectation, decent pero not spectacular first event, building block rather than watershed moment, foundation para sa future rather than immediate game changer. Pero dapat may positives na pwedeng i-build on. Dapat walang major embarrassments na madamage ng reputation. Dapat ma-establish ng credibility, even if not immediately dominant. Yan ang reasonable success criteria for first event. Let's zoom out and consider broader implications. Ang globalization ng MP promotions ay part ng larger trend sa Philippine boxing. Historically, Filipino boxers ay fighting locally sa early careers, then migrating to US or other international venues pag nag-reach na ng world-class level. Yan ay established pattern from Flash Elord era through Pacquiao. Ang limitasyon ng pattern na yan, dependent sa foreign promoters, vulnerable sa exploitation, limited control over career trajectory. Ang alternative model, strong domestic promotion capable of supporting fighters from prospect level through championship level, with international reach pero Filipino-controlled. Yan ang aspirational model, yan ang ideal scenario. At MP Promotions ay attempting to build that model. Pero implementation ay challenging, requires significant capital, requires international relationships, requires business sophistication, requires balancing commercial viability with social mission, requires navigating cultural tensions between global market demands and local identity preservation. Not easy, not guaranteed success, but worthy attempt. Kasi, if successful, transformative potential for Philippine boxing. Imagine scenario where top Filipino fighters ay fighting under Filipino promotion, earning fair compensation, maintaining control over careers, building legacy that benefits not just themselves pero entire Filipino boxing community. Inspiring vision, challenging execution, uncertain outcome, pero worth pursuing. Ang question is not whether MP Promotions will perfectly execute this vision, kasi perfection is unrealistic. Ang question is whether they'll achieve enough of it to meaningfully improve status quo. Yan ang fair standard, yan ang reasonable expectation. Now let's discuss financial realities more bluntly. Boxing promotion is expensive. Venue rentals sa major facilities ay costing tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars depending on size and location. Fighter purses for championship-level fights ay ranging from hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars. Insurance requirements, medical staff, regulatory compliance, security, production crew, marketing campaigns, lahat may costs. Ang revenue sources, ticket sales, broadcast rights, sponsorships, sometimes betting partnerships, merchandise. Break-even ay requiring significant scale. Profit ay requiring successful execution across multiple revenue streams. Ang margins ay often thin kahit sa seemingly successful events. One underperforming element ay pwedeng turn profit into loss. Ang financial risk ay substantial. Kaya ang promoters ay being conservative sa spending, strategic sa matchmaking, careful sa commitments. Yan ay explaining some controversial decisions, choosing marketable opponent over most deserving challenger, business decision driven by financial calculus, prioritizing fighters with existing fan base over raw talent, risk management strategy, focusing on proven formulas over innovation, Survival instinct. Hindi necessarily malicious or unethical, though maybe disappointing to purists. Just reality ng business economics. Ang MP Promotions, as relatively smaller player compared to Top Rank or Matchroom, ay having tighter financial constraints. Less room for expensive experiments, less ability to absorb losses, more pressure to ensure each event is financially viable. Yan ay affecting decision-making, sometimes in ways na disappointing to fans, but necessary for survival. Ang US expansion ay requiring substantial capital investment upfront. Office operations sa Beverly Hills? Expensive. Hiring US-based staff? Expensive. Legal compliance sa multiple state regulations? Expensive. Marketing to break into crowded market? Expensive. Hosting debut events sa California? Expensive. Where's money coming from? Likely combination of sources: profits from Philippine operations, investment from Pacquiao himself, possibly outside investors, though walang public information about that, maybe loans or credit facilities. Ang point is, this expansion ay financial bet, high-risk, high-potential reward scenario. If successful, opens lucrative US market. If failed, potential significant losses. Ang pressure to recoup investment ay intense. Yan ay creating urgency to generate revenues quickly, which sometimes conflicts with patient long-term development of fighters. Tough balance, difficult trade-offs, no easy answers. Ang promoters ay caught between financial pressures and competitive pressures and ethical considerations and cultural expectations. Navigating all simultaneously ay nearly impossible without disappointing someone. Kaya ang fair assessment requires acknowledging complexity, not just judging outcomes in isolation. Pero acknowledgement ng complexity ay hindi excuse for failures. Accountability pa rin is necessary. Transparency pa rin is important, just framed properly within realistic understanding of constraints and challenges. Now let's talk about what this means for young Filipino boxers sa provinces. May kids somewhere sa General Santos or Baguio or Cagayan de Oro, training sa local gym, dreaming ng boxing career. What does MP Promotions expansion mean for him? Optimistic scenario. Mas maraming opportunities. MP Promotions ay scouting not just sa Metro Manila, pero nationwide. Provincial talents ay getting noticed. Fair evaluation based on merit. Pathways to professional careers. Support systems for development. Possibilities for international exposure. Dreams becoming achievable realities. Inspiring story. Hopeful future. Pessimistic scenario. Resources being diverted internationally. Focus shifting to established fighters and marketable names. Provincial scouting being neglected. Opportunities being limited to connected individuals. Meritocracy being compromised by favoritism. Dreams remaining unfulfilled. Discouraging reality. Bleak prospects. Realistic scenario, probably mix ng both. May opportunities pero competitive. May pathways pero challenging. May support pero conditional. Not guaranteed pero possible. Requires combination ng talent, hard work, luck, timing, connections. Same as always basically, except potentially slightly better or slightly worse depending on how expansion affects resource allocation. Yan ang honest assessment. Not inspiring pero not discouraging either. Just realistic. Ang advice para sa aspiring boxers: keep training, stay focused, build skills, seek legitimate opportunities. Don't rely solely on one promoter. Diversify options. Maintain backup plans. Protect yourself legally and financially. Surround yourself with trustworthy team. Stay informed about industry dynamics. Advocate for yourself. Don't accept unfair terms out of desperation. Empowerment through information and agency. Not passive waiting for opportunities, pero active creation ng opportunities. Yan ang practical mindset for navigating boxing industry, regardless ng promotional landscape. Ang involvement ni Manny Pacquiao sa day-to-day operations ay interesting question na rarely discussed publicly. Si Manny ay retired boxer since 2021, though may occasional talk ng possible comeback. Primarily focused now sa politics though, lost presidential bid in 2022, still senator until 2028 term ends. Also involved sa various business ventures, religious activities as born-again Christian, family responsibilities, celebrity commitments, extremely busy schedule, impossible to be hands-on, sa MP Promotions Operations. Ang realistic arrangement ay strategic oversight role. Major decisions ay involving him. Strategic direction ay guided by his vision. But tactical execution ay delegated to management team led by Gibbons and Cohen. Standard structure for celebrity-owned businesses. Nothing unusual. Pero ang question, effective ba ang oversight? May sufficient mechanisms ba to ensure alignment with his original vision? May regular reporting structures, may accountability measures, may checks and balances. Publicly, walang information about internal governance. Privately, presumably may structures pero effectiveness unknown. Ang danger ng delegated management ay mission drift over time. Original vision ay gradually diluted as professional managers prioritize pragmatic business considerations over idealistic founding principles, not necessarily intentional betrayal, often slow evolution driven by practical pressures, pero cumulative effect over years ay significant deviation from starting point. Hopefully, si Manny ay aware sa risk na yan. Hopefully, may active efforts to prevent mission drift. Hopefully, may regular recalibration to ensure continued alignment. Pero only insiders know for sure. Ang comparison with other promotional models ay instructive. Top Rank, founded by Bob Arum, legendary promoter, decades of dominance, proven track record, but also controversial history, criticized for certain practices, respected pero not universally loved. Matchroom UK-based, led by Eddie Hearn, aggressive expansion globally, innovative approaches, strong digital presence, building modern promotional model. Golden Boy, founded by Oscar de la Hoya, former fighter turned promoter, similar trajectory to potential MP promotions model, had success pero also significant challenges including legal issues and organizational turbulence. Each model ay may strengths and weaknesses. Each ay evolved through different circumstances. Each ay made mistakes and achieved successes. Ang MP promotions ay still relatively young compared to these giants, still finding identity, still establishing practices, still learning from mistakes. Fair to compare pero with context of different scales, different histories, different markets. Ang realistic expectation ay not to match Top Rank's decades of dominance immediately, but to build sustainable model that serves Filipino boxing community while being commercially viable. That's achievable goal. That's reasonable ambition. Yan ang standard by which dapat i-judge ang MP promotions. Not perfection, pero progress. Not flawless execution, pero genuine effort. Not immediate dominance, pero steady growth. Fair assessment based on realistic expectations, not idealistic fantasies. At based sa standard na yan, ang MP promotions ay mixed results, clear successes sa championship production, concerning questions sa some operational aspects, promising initiatives sa expansion, worrying tensions sa identity and priorities, bringing this full circle back to original question, success or failure, inspiring story or cautionary tale, worthy of support or deserving skepticism. Ang honest answer, too early to definitively say, still unfolding story, still developing narrative, still uncertain outcome. Ang November 29 event will provide important data point. Ang next few years of operations will reveal trajectory. Ang career outcomes of current roster will demonstrate effectiveness. Need patience. Need continued observation. Need fair evaluation based on accumulated evidence. Pero meanwhile, dapat may informed engagement. Dapat may constructive dialogue. Dapat may accountability expectations. Ang boxing community ay not powerless spectators. We're stakeholders. Our engagement matters. Our support influences outcomes. Our criticism shapes behaviors. Kaya ang responsibility natin ay active participation, not passive consumption. Thoughtful analysis, not blind fandom or reflexive criticism. Balanced assessment that acknowledges both achievements and concerns. Nuanced perspective that recognizes complexity without excusing failures. Mature engagement that demands accountability while offering fair evaluation. Yan ang productive approach. Yan ang constructive stance. Yan ang needed orientation from boxing community if we want MP promotions or any promoter to truly serve interests of Filipino boxers and boxing fans. So, final question. Ready ba kayo sa responsibility na yan? Ready ba kayong mag-engage thoughtfully, critically, fairly? Ready ba kayong mag-demand accountability while offering reasonable support? Ready ba kayong mag-participate actively sa shaping future ng Filipino boxing? Comment your commitment. Share kung agree kayo. Subscribe para sa continued coverage. Kasi ang conversation na ito ay just beginning. Ang story ng MP Promotions ay still being written. Ang role natin sa story na yan ay undefined pa, but potentially influential. Kaya let's engage wisely, act responsibly, support strategically for Filipino boxing, for our fighters, for our community. Ready?